So we ran into our old friend Lydia Smyth here. She's put together every creative doc, puts together scripts, voiceovers, coordinates, cast, talent, and we're really gonna dig into what goes into her creative process. When it comes to scripting and storyboarding, I know these things are very time intensive.
Yeah.
I don't even know if every creative director knows how to do it or understands that, because at a lot of marketing agencies, there's big teams. Somebody does this, somebody does that.
Yeah.
You, on the other hand, you can do both, and not only do them, but you do them very well. What's your process with scripting and storyboarding for a client?
We start with the client. That is one of the things that we do lean on the client for, is just their expertise and their ideas. So scripting always comes first. That gives us the framework, the blueprint to place the visuals, the storyboard. We start with the script, and that is something I go to the client for and ask them for just what they want to be said in that message. It depends on the type of script. Sometimes it's very high level ideas. They just want to inspire, and here's the brand name of the product and these 3 key pieces of information, take it from there, and I do. And it's something that I can be a little bit more freeform with. There are some where, we need in 60 seconds to communicate very, very clear details about a product, and it needs to happen in this very specific way, copy-wise. So then it's more about, okay, I do need you to send me the copy that you have and the specific right way to say this. I can take it from there to make it a narrative story, to make it feel more like a story and a video, and telling that story in an engaging way. So it's not just, here's this pamphlet list of copy that we need to get across.
Right.
So it does depend, script to script, what that looks like, but that is something that we always start with the client for, so that we get the right stuff to say in the script. Then I take that and make it into that narrative. So I try a couple different drafts. I try to structure it in a way that makes sense flow-wise. If that's about a product, big picture to detail to a call to action. If that's just, more of a motivating ideas-based script, bringing them into the story, engaging them, giving a problem solution. But finding some way to structure the script that makes sense and keeps people engaged and makes it clear what we're trying to do. It's all just ideas, and it's very free flow, fun, but you're not left with a really next step, or like, that's why this matters.
Right.
That's what I'm taking home. So structure matters, moving the information we have around till I find the right structure, and then just making sure the copy flows, making sure it sounds good, adding rhythm to it, whether that, is a couple sentences that start with "this is," and then build to something.
Well, to add to what you're saying is like, okay, you're doing that, but at the same time, you have to understand. We haven't talked about the other part. Is like, you really understand sales.
Oh yeah.
And how businesses work and run. Like, for what we do corporate, we do real estate, government, and a lot of that stuff. A lot of that stuff's not sexy, right? A lot of it is focused on the product or service. How much of how has understanding sales or how do you integrate it within your process, whether that's sales or operations, and understanding that stuff, and then adding in the creative, how does that play into what your daily routine is?
I have to think about the end viewer every time I'm working on a video, because that's the person we're trying to speak to, and if we're not speaking to them, the video is not really going to do much. So it could be great, it could be pretty, it could have a celebrity in it. It doesn't matter if it's not speaking to that person. Using my knowledge of operations, sales, kind of company structure, recruitment, whatever we're trying to do is so key, because it allows me to speak to that person in the way that matters to them. So I think specifically if it's sales, we're talking value. We're talking, what does this product, service, business offer this person? We're also looking at, why do I trust them? If that's testimonials, if that's kind of behind the scenes of the company, there needs to be some aspect of trust building to that. So those, just knowing a little bit about sales and what actually works, what's effective, and also the audience part of what makes me trust this company, this person, whatever that might be. It plays a huge role in either the interview questions that I'm developing, the shots I'm putting together to make sure that they're really building trust and not just looking like stock or looking stiff, that they really do reflect the company vibe, brand. Right. Or if it's scripting, just making sure that that script is speaking to the right people, has the right tone to it, is engaging, and it truly authentically reflects the brand. I think that's so important.
Also, you're part salesperson, because there's this selling that me, John, whoever our sales team on the front end does, but a lot of the times it's like, okay, this is the initial idea, this is what we're going to do. The next step is to speak to our executive creative director, Lydia Smyth, right? That gets them excited. Now, we're not done yet. Contract signing and all that. It's Lydia's job to sell them on the vision.
Yep.
Right? Because if the vision is not sold, if the vision for the treatment, the storyboard, script, all that does not go through, nothing makes it to production. Again, with being a creative director here at INDIRAP, it's not just creative, it's the organizational skills, it's the sales skills. There's so much that goes into this. It's not just let's create pretty pictures.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the reasons why our product is so amazing. It's because we're not just running around with a camera shooting, B-roll random interviews. It makes sense for that organization, for that company that we're working with, and that all starts with the creative.
Yeah. And speaking to what you said about I have to sell to the client, the video vision, if I'm not selling to them, no one's going to be sold. If the brand itself doesn't like the video, doesn't like how their brands are being represented, isn't liking the message, then their customers, the people they're wanting to speak to, are also not going to be inspired by it. So,
and they're not going to use the video.
Totally. Yeah, that's so important. So that's where also the questions part of it comes in. I'm asking questions so I know what is going to inspire that brand, what is going to inspire them, their customers, how to authentically reflect the brand. I'm trying to do that, not just I have a good idea and I'm going to try to sell you on it. No, I'm actually responding to what you're telling me, what you want, what you're showing, who you are, all of that. So even more so than selling the video vision, I'm trying to also make sure we're aligned on it. I'm not going to push an idea that people don't like. I'm not going to push an idea that doesn't work just because I want to do it. It is more about finding the vision that we're both sold on.
What are some things that clients do that either get under your skin or just set a project off to a bad start? Or what are some of those things that a client that they need content, they need whatever creative, whether that's them wanting to do it all themselves or micromanaging? What are some of those things that get under your skin in your experience working with clients?
A couple of things that I think just don't help the process. One would be kind of just playing it by your own rules. So if I send a creative document with some next steps and you're like, I'm going to actually skip all of what you just said we need to do.
Oh, she hates that. She gets...
And we're actually just going to schedule and keep going. I'm like, unfortunately, we do have to know that you like this, that the video is going to be good. We need to figure out who's involved. We need all these things. Yeah. Because it's just not going to work if we're winging it like that. It's not going to work if we're just putting something on the calendar and being like, all good to go. I don't know half the things I need to know. That's why I send the next steps. Right. And that's when it is just shooting pretty pictures. It's not going to be the effective thing you want.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Two, I think, is just kind of being hands off completely. Yes, we will always take the lead creatively and organizationally and next steps wise. We'll let you know what we need and what's next step. We got it. Trust us, we got it, but you do actually need to be a little bit engaged and involved and present.
Lydia, you're the creative though, but you're the creative.
I know I'm the creative, and unfortunately, I don't know everything about the brand, and I need to know that they like it. I have my creative ideas that I like, but if the client doesn't like it, I need to know that, and I need to adjust, and I also need to know who is involved with your team, and when can we get to them, and we're also comfortable coordinating with other people. If you need to send us off to your client so that we can coordinate, sure. But I think it's just kind of making sure that you're still involved with the piece, since it is your video, it is your brand, that you're ready to communicate with us and you're okay with responding to our next steps and just giving us what we need to know. We're never going to give you the burden of making the video yourself and coming up with the ideas and planning it all, which is why we have very clear baby bite next steps, just to make sure it's easy for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think just having the client be engaged and ready to actually look at the creative document, ready to read the emails instead of just being like, whatever you say, because that's not super helpful.
Yeah. Pre-production is the absolute most important part of any production, because that's literally the blueprint for what's going to happen, who's going to be there, what's going to be asked, what locations, what the script is, what the animation's going to look like. So without that, shooters, editors, whoever, voiceover artists really have no blueprint to follow.
Yeah.
If you don't you can wing it, but at the end of the day, you're going to have dog shit. If you want an amazing piece of content for your brand, for your business, something that's going to work and not just be something you post one time. I'm talking about content that is going to take your business to the next level, take your organization to the next level. Pre-production is the defining factor of whether that's going to happen or not.
Yeah.
Period. It's I've been doing this for a long time, and it's literally that simple.
And I think what you said earlier too is important. You said that we work faster than any other team, and that's so true, but that's only because we're organized and we've done all this already. So if you change what we want to do on set, then we can't work as quickly, or we have to do a second day because we didn't get what we needed in the first place.
Right.
The pre-production doc allows us to move quickly because we know exactly what we need to get and we know the time frame we have to get it, and everyone's prepared, and it just makes it so easy. And it's good for the client too. Like most of our clients don't have time.
No.
They don't have free time to just like be making videos
No.
and have a silly time.
No.
They have one day where all of their team's there and all their team's ready, and they have time blocked off, and they don't have clients coming in, or their testimonial customer has this hour blocked off. Whatever it is, they don't have this free time. So we use that time effectively, and we are able to do that because of the pre-production, which I think is amazing for them, hopefully, you know?
How many pre-production docs / clients do you think you've pumped out over the years?
Oh my God, hundreds. Creative docs specifically, because we used to do them as pitch docs as well, and we used to like
Right.
send them out to clients even before they were signed on as like, look what we could do, and
Right.
unfortunately that takes a lot of time. So those specifically, I would not be surprised by like almost 1,000 or something crazy.
Yeah, I was gonna
like,
say thousands.
yeah.
Hundreds is yeah.
Hundreds, I would say, of like actual clients that have come through in projects, like
Right.
in the large hundreds, but not
Right.
to 1,000 yet.
Yeah.
I'm like almost 8 years in. What, 7, 8 years in, something like that?
Yeah.
I'll get there.
What would you say, like, somebody wanting to be a creative director, aspiring creative director, what are some of the traits or things that you think makes a good creative director that somebody should bring to the table if they're considering being a creative director?
I think the creative part's pretty obvious, but everyone knows that. So yeah, hone your skills. If you are really good at graphic design, scripts, copy, storyboards, video, whatever it is, hone it. That's great. But also take a look at what else is happening in your company or your friends or whatever. Just get more comfortable with all of it, so that even if you don't want to do it specifically, when you're talking to someone else, you're able to communicate the vision and the specific needs of that project pretty clearly, and you know what goes into it as well. Because if I don't do animation, but I know to ask Chris and to like talk with him if I'm thinking that the type of animation we're doing is going to take too long for the project.
Right.
So just knowing like the time it takes, the effort it takes, the process for all types of creative that you might work with.
You understand our entire process.
Totally. Yeah. I know the whole process, and I know like what to expect. It also be there. I think that's another thing is I was on set for
I was
a while,
gonna say,
you know?
Lydia was on set.
Yeah.
Like,
I know what
Yeah.
it looks like, and I know how fast we can move and also how fast we can't move sometimes, what it takes to go into every single project, every single shoot. So I think, yeah, just be a part of it and explore and get past your own expertise just so you can communicate with others when the project needs it. I think communication, organization, that's huge. We talked about before with me. I got really good at answering emails like this. I got really good at organizing myself so that I can get more done. Yeah, I think that's just going to help you no matter what. I think the other part of it is just the sales aspect. Like, you can have a lot of good ideas, you can be organized, you can email a lot of people, but if you don't know how to effectively achieve a goal with the creative you're doing and putting together, it's not going to get you
sell
very
your
far.
ideas. Yeah.
Those would be the top things I say to someone who like wants to be a creative director. Is just work on those things, and the higher up you get, the more responsibility you get, the bigger projects you get. It's just going to come easily because you know what you're doing in those aspects already.
Where do you find inspiration as a whole, like to stay creative?
Life, honestly. Like, I consume a lot of media. Somehow I find time to just, movies, TV, social media, commercials. I pay attention to it in a way that most people don't, which comes with just being a creative and liking film and video anyway. Even if I'm on social media scrolling and I see an ad that seems effective or doesn't seem effective, I know why, like immediately. I consume that in a way that's not just like, that was an ad, scroll past it.
Right.
I'm like, that was a bad first shot and it didn't feel authentic. And I know that. Same thing for if I'm watching a movie and there's a cool effect that happens and it makes me feel like I'm in the character's point of view, I save that for later. Because what if there's a project and we're trying to show a customer's point of view for a product that they're using for our client? I save that in my brain in a way that's not just, that was a cool shot, that was a cool movie, that was a pretty social media post, whatever. I can see ways that could work for our projects, and I've started to do that just so back on my mind, unconsciously.
You see things past beyond being just a spectator.
Yeah, and you taught me that too. Like, when I first started working with you guys, you saw that way, and you would send stuff that I was like, how is this random video gonna affect our clients? But you would show me, and I was like, oh, that's so cool, we can use that effect.
Yeah.
And just kind of consuming things in a different way so that you're making the things that you're creating better. I think especially when we're thinking about the way that companies are communicating with their customers nowadays, social media is huge. So it is something that, as I'm consuming my social media and ads, that's super helpful because I think a lot of clients are a little uncomfortable with that in a corporate way. How do we, I post my pictures of my kids on social media, great. But
Right.
how do in a corporate way I connect to the people I'm trying to connect to and do that effectively so it doesn't just seem like an ad? Being able to see that every day and know what's working and what's not is helpful so that we can help our clients achieve that. The clients are always inspiring. I think people don't understand how unique their brands are, but I see so many every single day that every time a new brand comes our way, it's different than the rest. Yeah, you might have some similarities to other people in your field because you're seeing that all the time, so you see the similarities, but I'm seeing unique people, unique colors, unique way of speaking to each other.
Right.
Obviously, there are always like the ones that are way on the other ends, but each brand is really unique, so it's fun to be able to respond to that.
Yeah, and take those brands to the next level.
Yeah.
Because that's really what, for me at least, is like, yeah, you see your brand every day, you're so entrenched in your branding, but this is what you could look like. You know what I mean? And it's like, holy shit, you're right.
Crazy. It's also really fun when clients are excited about their brands. Like when I'm sold on it because they're talking about it so passionately, I'm like, hell yeah, let's like get that to the people. That's the kind of messaging that I want to also share in what we're creating. Like that passion that I'm sold thing.
Yeah. Fun fact. Give us one fun fact.
Fun fact.
About Lydia Smyth. Here's one. She's a Jedi.
Yeah.
What's that all about?
Okay, yeah. I worked on Jedi Survivor, the video game that came out in 2023. I was the mocap assistant director, second assistant director. Very fun. All of the narrative stuff that you see in the video game where they're talking to each other and it's actual actors interacting, I was there working on that set. So none of the game part, like none of the things you're controlling, but the narrative stuff, that was really fun. We shot it in a mocap stage, so basically people with the suits with the dots. I'm sure everyone's seen like the behind the scenes of Avatar, think like that. But the actual actors were really moving their bodies, moving their faces. We were capturing that for the game, which is so cool. I love Star Wars. I've been a fan for my whole life. Thanks, Dad. So that was really great for me.
Any other fun facts?
I hike at least once a week, and sometimes it's somewhere crazy. I drove to the Sequoias last weekend or 2 weekends ago. Sometimes it's literally just Griffith, which is right there. But
you're always on some kind of hike or moving around. Does that help with your creativity?
It does, yeah. I feel like my brain quiets in a way that it does not ever quiet when I'm on hikes. I think that is, my brain is constantly moving and so am I, but when I am on a hike or when I'm just like moving my body in general, my brain shuts down a bit and allows it to reset, kind of rejuvenate. So the next time I'm thinking and I'm working, I'm like ready to be there.
Yeah.
It really does help.
It makes a big difference.
Yeah.
All right, so there you have it.
That's it.
That's creative direction. That's Lydia Smyth. If you take one thing from here, it's that, having a creative vision is great, but being organized and being passionate about what you do as a creative director is really what takes it to the next level for a brand. It is an extremely important part of any part of marketing, whether that's for video, whether that's for website or social media or content. Having a creative vision's the difference between just slapping something together and saying, hey, here you go, and posting it and it bombing or something taking off. So next time you put some content together, get a creative director, better yet, call INDIRAP.
Nice.
We're good.
That's pretty good.